Hello, this is Bill. Welcome back. In this video, you'll learn how to animate a bitmap by fading it from invisible to visible. And this will be accomplished by converting the bitmap to a symbol and then creating a motion tween. Well, before creating our new image, let's go ahead and analyze what we're doing here frame by frame. So for a couple frames, nothing. I'm just going to have a blank stage. And then over the next couple frames, I'll slowly introduce that outline. Once the outline is completely in, I'm going to have that disappear, at which point the girl will fade in over several frames. Once the girl is completely in, I'll go ahead and start fading in the background. And let's go ahead and take a look at this full speed. I'll highlight frame 1, and I'll come up here and go Control Play. And there we go. The outline, then just the girl, then the rest of the background fade in. Well, now that we know what we want to create, I'll go ahead and close this file, and I'll open up a new Flash file. Well, the first thing I can see is I want my stage to be black. Currently it's white, so I'm going to open up my property window. To do that, I'll come up here to Window, and I'll go to Properties and Properties. And you can see the keyboard shortcut is Control F3, and I may go ahead and use that in the future just to save a little time here. I have already adjusted the size 330 by 250 pixels to match the size of my image. The only thing I now need to do is go ahead and change the background. I'm going to change that to black. I'll press on this little white, and I'll choose right here to get a black background. Okay, at this point I'll press Control F3 to close my property window. Okay, at this point I'll start working on my layers. I'll go ahead and double click right up here. I'm going to call my first or my bottom layer my background. And I'll go ahead and press on this little icon next, the insert layer. And the next layer is going to be girl only. And then I'm going to go ahead and introduce my stroke. So I've got 3 layers here. My stroke on top, my girl, then way down at the bottom is my background. Okay, now that I've got my background layer, my layers all finished, let me go ahead and actually import these images onto the stage. Well, typically when I'm working with images, JPEG files, GIF files, I typically import those into the library first. It makes it much easier if I need to later create some more copies of those. So the next step is I'm going to come up here to File, I'm going to go to Import, and I'm going to go Import to Library. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and highlight the 2 files that I need, girl and background, and girl only, and I'll go ahead and press Open. And that's going to simply copy those 2 files onto the library. Well, now to get my library open, and make sure you've got your background layer, that's where I want to insert this first image. I'm going to come along up here to open up my library. I'm going to come here to Window and choose Library. Okay, at this point I'm going to take this first image, girl and background, and drag her onto the stage. And I need to make sure that this image and the girl only are perfectly aligned. Otherwise, when I kind of fade in just the girl and then go into the girl in the background, I'll get a little shift. And even a pixel or two could be a little jumpy there. So to guarantee that I've got these 2 images perfect, I'm going to come up here to Window, and I'm going to open up the Align window. And I'll come right up here, press on this little icon here, which is going to align the left edges. And I'll press on the one right below it, Distribute Top Edges. At which point I can go ahead and close my Align window. Okay, at this point, let me just highlight, maybe a frame F15 here, and I'm going to insert some frames. I'm just going to press, I can press F5, or I can come up here to Insert, Timeline, and Frame. And so now whether I'm on frame 1, 5, 10, or etc., that girl in the background there will be visible. Okay, at this point I'm going to come up to my stroke. I'll make that my active layer. And I wanted 2 frames with just black on, so I'm going to go ahead and press F5 here. Or I can come up here again, Insert Timeline, Frame. So now I've got 2 frames where it's black. I'm now going to highlight frame 3, and I'm going to insert a keyframe, and that keyboard shortcut is F6. Okay, on this frame I'm going to go ahead and use my pencil tool, and I'll make sure my stroke color is set to white. So I've got my pencil tool, my stroke color. Let me just go ahead and take a look at the stroke size here. I'll press Control F3. And okay, I've got that set at 2.5. Press Control F3 again to close my property window. Okay, at this point I'm going to come along and begin creating the outline around the girl. I'll start up here, and nothing too fancy here. Maybe I'll stop about right there. And I wanted that to last 2 frames, so I'll press F5 to insert another frame. I'll come to this frame and I'll press F6, and I'll go ahead and continue right where I left off. Coming on down about right here. And again, I want that to span 2 frames, so I'll press F5. I'll now press F6 and continue this process. Drag this on up. Press F5 so it goes 2 frames. F6 to insert a keyframe. Come around. F5 for a frame. F6 and back on to the starting location. And not the best job there. And F5 one more time, so it goes 2 frames there. Okay, at this point I've now got, if I was to animate this, I could see my stroke coming in. Okay, once that is in, I now want to fade just that girl in. So I'm going to highlight, looks like about frame 13 there, and I'm going to press F7, which is a blank keyframe, or I can come up here and go Insert, Timeline, and Blank Keyframe. And that's where I want to now insert that picture of just the girl. Okay, to insert just the girl, I'm going to go ahead and open up my library. Again, that's I can press Control L or come up here to Window and Library. And here is the girl only. I'll go ahead and drag her onto the stage. And at which point, let me go ahead and close my library. And let me just go ahead and momentarily turn off this eye on the background. And you can see that all I've got on this layer is just the girl. And unfortunately, if you wanted to recreate that, get just the girl on the layer, you're going to have some software like Adobe Photoshop in order to accomplish that. Okay, let me come back up here. I can see I'm on frame about 13 here on the girl only. And like I mentioned earlier, I need to make sure that she is centered perfectly on that. Otherwise, it will kind of jump as I go from one of those images to the next. So at this point, I'm going to come up here to a window, and I'm going to go to Align again. And I'll go ahead and press on this little icon here, Align Left Edges, and then right below that, Distribute Top Edges. At which point I'll go ahead and close my Align window. Okay, let's say I want this to span, maybe about 10, over 10 frames here. I'll come to frame 25. And actually, before I do this, I need to make sure I convert this to a symbol. So let me come back here. I'm on frame 13 here, girl only. And I'm going to come up to Modify and Convert to Symbol. At which point I'll just go ahead and use the default values here. It's going to give it the name symbol 1, and I'll press OK. Okay, now I can highlight frame 25, and I can insert a keyframe, which is F6, or insert timeline keyframe there. Okay, before I forget, let me come down here just a little bit, and maybe I'll go ahead. Actually, I don't need to do this. I was going to say I could add some more frames here on the background, but I don't even want this background to appear until about frame 26 anyway. Okay, at this point I can right-click in this area, and I'm going to add a motion tween. Now I'm going to come back here to this frame, the first frame of that girl, and I'm going to go ahead and change the alpha value. Let me go ahead and use my selection tool, highlight the girl there. I'm on frame 13 or so. Open up my properties window, Control F3, and I'm going to go ahead and change this to alpha, and I can see initially here it is at 0, and I'll just press the enter key there. And I'll go ahead and close my property window, Control F3. Okay, so here it is, the girl on frame like 13 and on frame 25. And let me go ahead and display this. Press the enter key here, and I can see the outline come in and then the girl. Okay, at this point I now want to go ahead and fade in the background. Okay, to fade in the background, let me go ahead and actually just delete all this information right here. I'm going to highlight all these frames, and I'm going to simply right click and I'm going to go remove frames. At this point I'm going to come along to frame 25 or 26 here. Actually it could be frame 26, and I'm going to insert a blank keyframe. That's F7. And on this image, on this layer, I'm going to go ahead and insert that background. And let me press Control L, or I can come up here to my window and go to Library to get my library visible. And let me go ahead and drag this girl in background back onto the stage here. And again, let me go ahead and open up my align window, and I will press on the little icon to align the left edges and the top edges, and I'll go ahead and close that. And let me come out here, before I do anything, and make sure I need to convert this to a symbol, otherwise I cannot do the shape tween and the alpha there. So I'm going to come up here to modify, I'm going to go convert to symbol, use the default values, and I'll press OK. Okay, at this point I'll highlight about frame 50. I'll press F6 to insert a keyframe. And now what I want to do is come back here to frame 26, and I want to change the alpha value back to 0, so it looks like I'm back almost to it's black. So let me go ahead and open up my property window, Control F3, and I'll go ahead and highlight that, and I'll press and I'll change the alpha value to 0, and let me just press the enter key here, and let me press Control F3 to close my property window here. And at this point let me add a motion tween. I'm right click right there, and I'll go create motion tween. Okay, and there comes the background. What I now want to do is add, I want to make sure once that girl has come in that she stays. Otherwise what happened is the girl has come in and now I start back off at black. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight frame 50, and I'm going to press F5, or I come up here again, come to insert frame. And we're ready to see this full screen here, or in full speed. I'm going to highlight frame 1. I'll come up here and go Control Play, and there we go. The outline, then the girl, and then the background fades in. Well, hopefully you learned a little bit on how to animate a bitmap image. Probably most importantly there was to make sure you convert that bitmap to a symbol before adding that motion tween. Well, hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thank you.